Howdy, everybody. I'm Thomas Blair.
I'm Mark Halash.
And this is the April ACE Q&A, where we take questions from our ACE Development Partners Forum and answer them for you. Question. We're getting all the pieces to make castles depending on our bundles, and that's cool. Will we have the option to plunk down a default castle with the kit? This particular player has 2 castles, and they don't want to play the building game. Or if it was me, I really couldn't do a good job at playing the building game. I always go get an environment artist to help me out when I want to make my home spaces look pretty. What do you think, Mark?
All right, well, never fear. We basically, all the castles and whatnot that we have are pre-made to start with. And any upgrade pieces that are available to you won't require much more design skill than walking up to a wall and attaching it to the appropriate socket.
Here's a suggestion. If you want good activity, level, and conflict in 5.5, don't bring up the EKs, force everyone to do everything in the campaign world, and see what happens. And while that is an interesting idea, we are bringing up lots of parallel features at the same time. Right. We have to test everything, and just shutting off the EKs isn't a good way to test a lot of the EK features, especially since we have some really big ones, I think, in the next update. I'm actually positive of the next update. So just turning them off isn't an option at this point when we have so many things to test. We need everything tested. And yes, I understand you want to get people to crafting stations, but we can wait for those days in the future. Okay, next question. Only grief I have in crow form is movement speed. I'm falling asleep when running back to my body. Please, please speed up its movement.
Okay.
Yes. Granted, yeah, the speed up should be in the next update. It will be faster to get back to your body, and then in a later update, we're going to work on making just it feel good when you are flying around as a crow.
Feeling good to be dead.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, next question. Is the Who command for testing only, or is this command going to make it into the live version of the game?
Well, I believe that's going to be a CSR only command eventually. So.
But yeah, because we don't want to reveal who's in the zone just by using a check command.
Yep. So don't get used to it.
Yes, it's useful for now though. Next question. UI request on barriers. Right now we can see an enemy's barrier as a white line around their health bar, and barrier is essentially a temporary shield around the character that you have to punch through, and it acts just like health. And once its value hits 0, the barrier goes away. So this question is largely around, can you make it easier to understand when someone has a barrier and when someone doesn't have a barrier?
I think that's something we can accomplish.
I think we can do that. I mean, we have the first draft of it in there, and I know it's on Billy's plate to go and look at some of the combat HUD stuff. So that will happen. When can we expect to see a combat log, and what form will it take? Currently, it is in the planning phases, and you will see it as one of the tabs within the social system, basically where all of your tabs and channels and all that stuff is happening. We are going to do an overhaul of that entire thing, and one of the things that will be inserted is a combat log, so you can go see what the heck just killed you.
That's right.
Because yes, I think we had a funny video in the last cycle.
Oh yes.
With the champion, someone's like, "Champion hit me for over
like 5,172 damage,"
and then we look back at the videos, we're like, "No, that's actually."
You have 5,172 hit points.
Well, it was fall damage.
It was fall damage, right?
Yeah. So it was. Had there been a combat log, that would have been super easy to discern.
Right.
Instead of reading the tea leaves of the video. Yes. So we will get a combat log, and it is soon. It's much more than on the horizon now. So there you go. Retaliate versus crowd control. Does the chance to retaliate not undermine the crowd control increasing, decreasing skill nodes? Doggett had to come say hi. Hi,
hello, Doggett. So, of course it has a value. So, when you get knocked down, initially, say a knockdown has a duration of 5 seconds, which it does, the CC increase and decrease stats give you a flat increase, decrease to that. On top of that, we also have resolve. So, resolve decreases a percentage based on how recently you just experienced a control effect. So, when you get knocked down, if you get knocked down immediately after that, the duration would go from 5 seconds to, let's say, about 3 seconds, right? Because it starts at 45% and then it ticks down fairly rapidly. But if you get knocked down again, you're not going to be you're not going to suffer the full 5 seconds. It's probably going to be more like 3 seconds.
Yeah, so. I think a lot of the question here was revolving around, well, if I can just spend stamina, does it negate all of these stats?
Right. And the answer is absolutely not. And from the other direction too, if somebody's already retaliated twice, right, and so they're you're right, they're going to have to, right? They're not going to be able to retaliate again. A, B, your knockdown, because their resolve is going to be so high, their knockdown is only going to it's only going to last like maybe 2 seconds or less, right? But if your bonus is giving you an extra second on your knockdown, all of a sudden that 2 second knockdown is going to be 3 seconds, and that's a big deal.
Yes.
Right. So definitely there's value.
Always value. Okay. Next question. Question on vessels. Even with the advent of craftable vessels, nothing has really changed with their usage. They are bound to the world they are equipped in. You cannot unequip, only delete. They do not carry over to any other world. Will that change in the future? Yes, it will. That list of avatars you have in the crypt, that will carry with you to every world. So you'll only have those 6 character slots. So that is something that is being worked on right now. I can't promise a date on when that will come out, but currently you're in an in-between state where we've got remnants of the old tech, the new tech's being built, so it's just going to play like it is, where you have 6 per world, but that is going to go away. So don't think it works like that long term. Question about the UI. Will we be able to move and scale everything in the interface? Specifically, I would like to be able to move the target reticle higher a few inches and scale a few things, getting older and I can't see as well. Yes, that is certainly on Billy's plate to make it so that there's just a universal, you can make everything in really big mode. Well, it doesn't have to go really big. It just has to be bigger so that we can make it so you're comfortable where your UI is. And we've known about that for a long time. That's just one of the later things after we've added the UIs. All right, next question. Well, it's more of a series of questions and comments about the improvements to the Wrath map, which players saw the introduction of in 5.5. How much they like the adventure zones, like the concentration of the resources in the adventure zones, the physical layout of the zone and the way it's presented through the map, and the central keep and the 3 forts. So we now have a world building strike team, and they are focusing specifically on the map and how the parcels are built and how they are assembled. And we'll pass this feedback onto those guys because it's always great to hear some positive feedback. And here's some comments that they would like changed, and certainly stuff that we can do. For example, all the boars are rank 1 in this map. That's because the boars are only in the beachhead, and I understand that people want higher level leather from those guys. So we will certainly put some higher level boars out deeper into the map so you can get some of that leather.
Sweet boar leather.
Sweet boar leather. There's a huge number of very low rank resources spread across the map. Yes. So we're going to see... One of the big challenges with the Wrath map is we're kind of at an in-between map stage with that. Our multi-maps for a single campaign, basically where you go from island to island, and this one is a forest island, and this one is a swamp island, and this one is the Highlands Island. Whatever. That's not quite online yet. So we're kind of combining everything into one map and trying to make it a playable experience.
It's like the Reader's Digest condensed version of
yes.
the campaign.
So ultimately, that's not where we're going to go. We're going to start splitting these things out. And that forest map will feel like a forest, and it will predominantly have trees on it, and they will rank all the way across the scale. So again, some of this is growing pains as we grow into bigger maps from the single map. So many of these things will change just by us getting that tech online. Where are the high rank trees? Again, similar problem. We just don't have enough space for them. Those things will come online with the multiple island maps. And I'd like to see a few high rank resources not in the adventure zones. Again, we're going to start making each of the maps feel different. So there will be interesting reasons to go to each of them, be it high level resources, adventure parcels, forts and keeps. Not quite there yet. Okay, next question. Variety of crafting tables. In an ideal world, we'd like to see the new castle in a campaign world that should have all of the crafting stations as well as rank 10 resources around it. Wow, it sounds like they want to put everything in this one spot, which is generally
not what we're going to do.
Yeah, we're going to put pieces around, so you have to move around. You just can't sit there in the one area.
Because why have a world if you're not going to explore it?
This is one of the reasons that some of the forts in the initial design only had 1 and 2 types of the crafting stations. So if you wanted to go make jewelry, you had to take that fort, which meant that the team that owns that fort is getting stronger.
Masters.
Because they're the jewelry masters, and they own that. So that is a bit by design, as well as us wanting you to spread out. Again, with the previous question about the multi-island maps, you're going to start seeing that as we start teasing all of these elements out into individual maps for gameplay reasons. The removal of crafting potions in 5.5 has revealed some significant flaws in the crafting process. Characters with maxed out skills are not able to get their experimentation skills high enough to make good gear without potions. Well, one of the reasons for us to pull out the potions was so we could start seeing things like this. They've been a big old crutch that we've had in now for forever. So we need to start pulling these things out and seeing if stats are too low, if they're too high. This is why I basically wanted to get all of that testing stuff out now that we have the real systems in place. And most of the vectors for delivering stats and attributes to you guys are or should be in within the 5.5, 5.6 time frame. And then we can start tuning those. And you may see some stats going up, or you may see some coming down. Probably see some stats going up to make things easier for you guys. And the secondary question to this is, how are they supposed to fill in this gap? And in some ways, they haven't figured out yet that you can stair-step your way into better gear. So you make a green quality thing that gets you just enough so that you get 1 or 2 experimentation points that you can use on a blue or purple one, which will make those even better, which will let you stair-step your way up. So in some cases, you're going to have to make the multiple levels of gear to get to the better gear. So that, however, is as designed, and hopefully you guys will start doing things like that. F-key woes. Why is it so difficult to get proper positioning to loot, move through a gate, etc.? Can we make this easier? What do you think, Mark?
I think the answer is yes to that. We can make it easier.
What do you think is mechanically going on behind the scenes?
I'm going to guess it has something to do with colliders.
And raycasts. Basically, we send a point out, and it hits something, and if it either hits that thing, it does something, or doesn't. And I'm guessing what we're looking at is just too tight, right? It's a very small raycast, and it's a very small collider, and we just need to be more generous to make it easier on those kinds of things. Any plans to have a phone app or the ability to log in from a browser to train skills or micromanage skill trees from work?
It's a cool idea.
We've had that idea for a long time. It's certainly not a launch feature, but we would love to add it in because keeping you in contact with your guild and or your account and your skill training is definitely something we want to enable you guys to do. Okay, so not a question this month, but a follow-up from a question last month where somebody asked about the comparison between armor caps and penetration.
The answer to that is now, or as of 5.6 will be, if you come in, if you have 85% mitigation capping to 75, and somebody comes in with 20% armor penetration, you're only going down to 65% instead of 55%.
Correct.
So
this will be our first stat that lets you essentially go over the cap.
But you're not really going over the cap.
You're not going over the cap unless
it's like a soft benefit for...
Yeah, so it's a new way to look at it, and it also means that the tank characters can continue to stack mitigation to fight off the increasing penetration of the other characters. But more importantly, it was a great question from a Q&A, and we left the meeting and said, this is lame, we should fix this. And we got a ticket in, and it was fixed relatively quickly. So keep the questions coming. We take them very seriously, and we always see what we can do to make things better if it is actually something that we should, right? So, okay, thanks for sending in all the questions, and we will see you in the live streams that come out later in April. Bye.
Bye-bye.